What's up? What's up? Welcome to another market recap. Today is November 4th, 2025. So no trades for me last night. Main kind of trade I was waiting for was that pound Swiss, and it did pull back. Never really presented an entry. Like, it presented a really aggressive kind of entry, but by the way it pulled back, I was looking for more. It's essentially looking for like a double bottom on the kind of 30-second time frame to trade off of. And it nearly started to form that double bottom and reject the kind of like 10-minute 200 EMA area and the 1 hour fibs and stuff and the EMAs. But then eventually it just kind of like broke down hard. So all good. That Aussie yen trade that I took the day prior ended up playing out. Have pretty much all the yens on watch tonight. Aussie yen is up for a primary out of the yens for kind of a second shot at this movement, playing the CBO instead of the IBO now. So there was that IBO that I took right here that I took a slight loss on. Honestly, in hindsight, I probably choked that trade with my management. I think I went a little too aggressive on my 2-minute management. I probably should have waited for a little bit more of a kind of like a structured breakdown rather than just like a quick kind of like candle snap down. So I know like managing like that can mitigate losses. Like, it can mitigate a full loss and just turn it into like a half loss like I took if the trade's going to fail. But also it opens up kind of the stop clippiness of getting tapped out and then the trade still running in your favor. So yeah, I technically, I guess I could have re-entered this thing as well at any point really here. Like, there's multiple kind of points to re-enter the trade. But again, I don't really like to do re-entries. So pretty much if I mess up the IBO, I don't take the IBO or anything of that nature, I always know that like the following day I'm going to have a shot at like a CBO. And today's a perfect example of that, right? Like, took this IBO, the trade didn't work out. Technically it did play out, our bias played out, but the trade failed. But now we have a shot at the CBO. So essentially kind of how the strategies I trade work. Like, it starts with an ABO, so you could play the breakout. If you don't play the breakout, you can play the IBO, so the initial break, the initial break of the 1 hour 50 and the retest of it. And then if that trade doesn't work out or you don't take it, then you have a shot at the CBO, so the complete breakout, so a break and retest of the 1 hour 50 and 200 EMAs, which then on your 1 hour time frame, it's like a CBO, right? Because the break of both EMAs. But then the 4 hour time frame, it's an IBO, just the initial break of the 4 hour 50, and so on and so forth. So how I layer all these time frames kind of together, right? But getting to the watch list, again, I have mainly yens on watch for this evening. Aussie yen, dollar yen, I think are the cleanest, but I'd say all these yens have a possibility of playing out or a trade. So it's more so kind of filtering at the end of the day. And I chose Aussie yen, dollar yen as the two primaries, mainly due to kind of your 1 hour, 4 hour price action. This is just kind of cleaner. Like, this is a clear wave 1, wave 2. This is a clear wave 3 coming back for a wave 4. And then we're going to play wave 5. So I'm looking at this versus on like CAD yen, you have this kind of like trendy market down on your 1 hour time frame. So it's hard to say where the clear kind of trend started, where the wave theory started. Is it a CBO? Yes. Is it an IBO on my 4 hour? Yes. But looking at like the price action wise, it's trending downwards, and it looks a little weird. It fits. But then what becomes weird is like, where do you draw the fibs from? Do I draw it from this most recent high? Do I draw it from this high? Do I draw it from this high? You know, and if I draw it from the absolute high, the fibs don't really line up with the EMAs anymore. Whereas like Aussie yen, I have a clear trend, so I know that it's the fib level is drawn from this previous high here, and my fibs fit. Same thing kind of here with dollar yen. There is a clear, like, this is a clear wave 1 break. This is an IBO play. on the yen. So it's just a break of the 1 hour 50, but it hasn't broken the 1 hour 200 yet. But you have a clear kind of trend to draw your fibs levels off of. That's how I'm kind of filtering these things down, right? But all very similar concepts. So Aussie yen's a CBO on the 1 hour, IBO on the 4 hour, likely is going to be an ACB in the 10-minute. So, and then daily time frame, you have rejection of a level that it's previously rejected in the past, and you have a nice kind of bearish engulfing candle from yesterday. So DDP is there from a daily level. 4 hour has a strategy, 1 hour has a strategy, 10 minutes going to have a strategy. So everything that I look for in a trade is still here. So there's a potential to get a second shot at this Aussie trade if it pulls back. And then, so most of these yens are the same, right? So CAD yen is a CBO on the 1 hour, an IBO on the 4 hour. Same thing here with Euro yen. Same thing here with Singapore yen. And then same thing technically with Swiss yen as well. Swiss yen, more so I'm looking at if price just continues to fall on all these yens, is there a way I can play the wave 4 pullback? And more so I think the way is going to be to do it is to probably on Swiss yen, since you do have like previous kind of horizontal support here. The problem is it's not really at the daily 50, but it is sitting at the 4 hour 200. If it goes a little bit past that, somewhat in this area and decelerates nicely, I'd entertain it, but I need to see some really nice kind of micro time frame price action. But this is mainly why I had this one flagged. So if you kind of deflag this one, the ones with main strategies are Singapore yen, Euro yen, CAD yen, dollar yen, Aussie yen. So yeah, mainly looking for this Aussie yen. Dollar yen's nice too, but it's not preferable. I mean, I prefer to trade CBOs, which that's what Aussie yen is. 1 hour CBOs is what I look for, because a 1 hour CBO gives me the 4 hour IBO, and then it gives me the 10-minute ACB. So on a IBO though, I don't really have much on my 4 hour yet. So it's kind of just bouncing off the previous highs. It's a little bit of a negative, but the 1 hour price action is pretty clean. So we'll see. The second group I've got is an Aussie group, which you can honestly say this is like, you could almost put this Aussie Swiss with this Kiwi Swiss, pretty similar. I could almost put the Kiwi in here. Aussie Kiwi are very similar pairs. But either way, this is a little bit of a tighter pit position, so I don't know if it'll work from a leverage perspective since it's 10 pips. But it is a wave 1, is a wave 3 IBO, so wave 1 break, kind of wave 2 pullback. This pullback is pretty messy though on a 10-minute time frame. I'm not a huge fan of it, hence why it's not really flagged primary. The levels fit from a 1 hour perspective, but this 10-minute price action's weird. So just kind of seeing how it develops, but it's probably not going to be something I can trade anyways, just from the pit position size. 10 pips is kind of small for me to get the leverage I'm looking for, since I'm currently risking like 3.5% per trade. So Aussie CAD, similar vibe to Aussie Swiss, right? You kind of have, again, the weird price action on the 10-minute time frame, but instead of this being an IBO like Aussie Swiss is, Aussie CAD is a CBO. Technically, it is an IBO on the 4 hour, but it is rejecting the 4 hour 200, but the 4 hour 200 doesn't line up with our daily 50. So we still have room to move to the daily 50. So plenty of room to move to a potential target. So again, there's some stuff in our favor on this trade, and there's some stuff that's not, hence why it's not flagged primary. Kind of just wait, see how this thing develops, see what it looks like, see how it rejects this level. But it is a possible trade short for this session. Then I have just kind of a singular Kiwi Swiss. This is like a wave 3 CBO. So it's a complete wave 1, looking for a wave 2 pullback. play wave 3. On the 4-hour time frame, it's kind of like an ATC, so at trend continuation. My daily time frame, you have a bearish engulfing candle. And yeah, like it's just kind of following the daily bearish trend at this point. It's looking like it's about to continue to the previous lows. So there's room to move in the daily time frame. 4-hour fits with a continuation pattern, and then 1 hour we have a CBO pattern to trade. 10-minute time frame would likely be an ACB-esque, but we do have a little bit of this weird price action right here of this kind of like spike and then drop. So a pullback now won't quite look like an ACB. It'll almost look like a trend change, which is kind of a negative to this. But I do think there's potential for a trade here. So see how, again, this one develops by the time it reaches these levels and how it rejects it. And then the only other trade I got is this Euro ZAR, which I think is pretty clean. You really flag it as a primary. I think it could be flagged as a primary. Everything lines up pretty well. Starting with your daily time frame, great bullish engulfing candle. So DDP bullish for the day, looks fine there. 4-hour time frame, you have a double bottom, you have a breakout, a trend, you have a break of the 1 hour 50. So it's lining up to be an IBO on our 4-hour. 1 hour, again, you have a double bottom, and again, still break a trend. All the same things as the 4-hour, but this has just broken both EMAs, so it's a CBO. Again, so it's mainly what I look for is CBO on the 1 hour, IBO on my 4-hour. And then 10-minute time frame is shaping up to be somewhat of an ACB, right? Kind of style play with a pullback to the 10-minute 200 EMA, which will line up with 0.382 fib, which should line up with the 1 hour EMAs, should line up with the 4-hour 50. So there should be a lot of kind of support in this general area if price pulls back. So see how it develops. Right now, the spread on this is pretty large. So I imagine, pretty sure that this pair tightens up for me getting closer to London. So if this pair pulls back, in 5 to 6 hours, I don't think the spread is an issue for me, but like right now, the spread would keep me out of this trade. But the price action on it is relatively clean. It's just the 10-minute time frame looks a little kind of funky here. I would have preferred more so. Well, I guess what's preventing the automatic kind of primary flag is it almost looks like it's broken and gotten the retest and then the continuation, right, on your 10-minute time frame. Like it got the break, and then this is an ATC at this point, and then it's just kind of like following through. So, which also at that point retested fib levels on the 1 hour time frame. So I don't know. Like I see the trade. I think it's still there. It's definitely an option. But that one kind of, this 10-minute price action is what's preventing the primary flag for me. Whereas like Aussie Yen, you don't have that. It's just like this clear kind of easy break. So now if we get a breakout up and then a retest of, that area and then a pull back here. So essentially like what a nice ACB looks like is it'll break up and then it's going to come back, retest, and then it'll roughly retest that 200 EMA, and that's what we're looking to trade off of, and then we're looking to take that down like that, right? So we're looking for price to kind of break this level, give what looks to be a trend change on your 10-minute time frame, and then give a full out trend change when it'll give like a higher high and a higher low, and then it looks like it's continuing that pattern. By the time it hits the 200 EMA, it sucks a bunch of people in, and then the trade kind of collapses and it continues with the higher time frame biases is how these like ACBs work. So whereas on like, Euro ZAR, it doesn't really, it's a little weird. It doesn't quite fit that. So, but yeah, development watch, I don't really have much. I've moved some of this development stuff over to active watch for this evening. Still watching Aussie Kiwi for a breakdown at some point. Still watching pound dollar for a breakout at some point. So we'll see. And then pound Kiwi. It's starting to decelerate somewhat nicely. It had a little bit of a deeper pullback that I was looking for to the kind of 0.5 fib level. The only problem with that is at that point, it's broken the 4 hour 50. It's broken both the 1 hour EMAs. So the levels don't line up super perfectly anymore. But I still think there's potential at this point for this to go short. So I'm actively watching this right now and considering it, waiting to see kind of what happens. It almost seems like we're starting to get this double top on the 1 hour, kind of 10-minute time frame. So I'll continue to watch it. Dollar Swiss still running, waiting for a pullback at some point. Honestly, the more this kind of runs, the cleaner the pullback's going to be. But also at this point, there's the ability to trade. I need to adjust my alert here. Is the ability to trade the IBO on this. So we could play the pullback in the ACB so that it could break, and then we can play that pullback. And then technically switch biases and play along for a swing trade. But yeah, dollar NOK, same thing. Dollar PLN, same thing. CAD PLN, all the same thing. Cool. Hopefully we get a second shot of this Aussie yen tonight and a chance to redeem ourselves from earlier in the week and make some money. So anyways, that's all I got. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. See you.